The cashier smirked. "You stole something. Open your bag." Eyes turned. Whispers spread. But then, she spoke. Calm, sharp, undeniable. "You just accused the owner of this store." What happened next? No one saw it coming. But let's start from the beginning. It was a warm summer evening in Atlanta. Erica Williams, a poised black woman in a sleek navy business suit, stepped into Riverton Groceries after a long workday. She had just finished a high-stakes meeting at her corporate headquarters and wanted to pick up a few things before heading home. As she browsed the aisles, she noticed the subtle but familiar weight of someone's gaze on her. A young white cashier, Tyler Reed, was watching her from behind the counter, his eyes narrowed in suspicion. Erica ignored it. She was used to the quiet prejudices that followed her in certain spaces, but she had no time for nonsense today. She placed a few groceries in her basket, a bottle of wine, fresh produce, and a loaf of artisan bread, before making her way to the self-checkout. As she scanned her items, she heard hurried footsteps behind her. "Excuse me, ma'am," Tyler said, his voice sharp and accusing. "I need to see your receipt." Erica barely looked up. "I haven't finished checking out yet," she said, scanning her last item. Tyler reached out and pressed a button on the screen, canceling her transaction. "Actually, I'm going to need you to step aside. We've had incidents before." Erica's patience thinned. "What kind of incidents?" "You know what kind," he shot back, his tone laced with unspoken implications. "I saw you put something in your bag without scanning it." A few customers had started to watch, whispering among themselves. Erica felt the familiar burn of injustice rising in her chest. "You're accusing me of stealing?" she asked, her voice dangerously calm. "Security will handle it," Tyler said, crossing his arms smugly. At that moment, a store security guard, a burly man with a badge on his chest, stepped forward. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." The weight of humiliation pressed down on Erica. She was being publicly treated like a criminal in a store that, unbeknownst to them, she owned. Erica walked into the cramped back office, the fluorescent light flickering above her. The stale air reeked of old coffee and sweat. She kept her posture straight, her breath even, but inside, fury coiled tight in her chest. Tyler leaned back in his chair, his smirk unwavering, his confidence dripping with misplaced authority. He gestured toward a dusty monitor, tapping the screen as grainy footage played. "Look, lady," he said, his tone laced with condescension. "We take theft seriously." The video showed Erica moving through the aisles, methodically placing items into her basket, scanning each one at self-checkout. At no point did she pocket anything, hesitate, or act suspiciously. Erica crossed her arms. "Where exactly do you see me stealing?" Tyler's smug expression faltered. He squinted at the footage, his jaw tightening. I saw you. I know what I saw." "No," Erica corrected, her voice sharp but measured. "You thought you saw something because I'm a black woman in a designer suit, and you assumed I didn't belong here." A tense silence filled the room. The security guard, shifting awkwardly beside her, cleared his throat and glanced at the screen. "Ma'am, it looks like you did scan all your items." Erica exhaled slowly, holding Tyler's gaze. "So now what?" Tyler bristled, his ego visibly bruised. "I'm just doing my job." Erica leaned in slightly, her voice cutting through the room like ice. "Your job is to serve customers, not to humiliate them based on your prejudices. And right now, you're looking at the owner of this entire store chain." Tyler's smirk vanished. He blinked, then let out a nervous chuckle. "Yeah, right." Before Erica could respond, the office door swung open. A man in a tailored suit rushed inside. Daniel Harper, CEO of Riverton Corporation. His face drained of color the moment he saw her. "Ms. Williams," he stammered. I had no idea you were here." Erica didn't break eye contact with Tyler. "Clearly," she said, her voice unwavering, "you might want to tell your employee exactly who I am." The air in the office turned suffocatingly thick. Tyler's smirk crumbled the second Daniel spoke. His eyes darted between Erica and his boss, disbelief morphing into sheer panic. Wait. What?" His voice barely carried, cracking under the weight of realization. Erica's gaze didn't waver. "I own this store," she stated, her tone even but razor sharp. "And every other Riverton Groceries location across the country. I built this company from the ground up, and yet, one of my employees had the audacity to racially profile me, humiliate me, and accuse me of theft in my own store." The security guard, who had been so eager to detain her minutes ago, suddenly found the floor deeply fascinating, shifting awkwardly, as if hoping to disappear into it. Tyler's hands trembled slightly. His face, once smug with false authority, had gone deathly pale. "Ms. Williams, I swear, it was just a misunderstanding." "Was it?" Erica cut him off, her voice now ice cold. "Or were you just so sure that someone like me couldn't possibly be a successful businesswoman?" Tyler opened his mouth, but no words came. Daniel's expression darkened, his authority now fully returned. He turned toward Tyler, his tone clipped, decisive. "Consider yourself suspended, pending investigation." Tyler's panic exploded. "Wait, sir!" "Leave!" Daniel snapped, his patience non-existent. Tyler hesitated, his desperation searching for a lifeline, but none came. His feet finally moved, carrying him out the door in a stumbling retreat, his face burning with humiliation. Erica watched him go, then shifted her attention back to Daniel. The weight of the moment still hung in the air, but she wasn't done. "We need to have a serious conversation about how you train your staff. Because this..." She gestured around them, the gravity of the situation pressing in. "This can't happen again." Daniel swallowed, nodding stiffly. "I understand, Ms. Williams. I will personally see to it." But Erica knew that understanding wasn't enough. Change was coming, and it would start now. By morning, the story had exploded. News outlets ran headlines about the CEO accused of theft in her own store, and social media was relentless. The footage of Erica standing firm against Tyler's baseless accusations spread like wildfire, fueling debates on racial bias and systemic discrimination. Thousands of comments flooded in, some outraged, some reflective, some deeply personal. Black women shared their own stories of being followed in stores, their credentials questioned, their presence treated as suspicious. Others admitted they had never considered how ingrained these biases were, until now. The pressure mounted, and Riverton Groceries had no choice but to respond swiftly. Tyler was fired. But Erica wasn't interested in making an example of just one employee. She wanted systemic change. That same week, she announced a sweeping initiative across the company: mandatory anti-bias training for all employees, from cashiers to executives, and leadership development programs to uplift underrepresented voices. The move was bold, and not everyone welcomed it. Some resisted, scoffing at the idea that bias training was necessary. Others applauded, recognizing the urgency of the issue. But Erica didn't care about approval. She cared about impact. A few weeks later, she stood at a podium, facing a packed room of journalists, activists, and community leaders. Cameras flashed. The air buzzed with anticipation. "This isn't just about me," she said, her voice steady, carrying the weight of every woman who had been in her position. "This is about every Black woman who has been followed in a store, who has been assumed to be a thief, who has had her success questioned." This is about making sure that no one else has to go through what I did." The room erupted into applause. It wasn't just black women clapping. It was people of all races, ages, and backgrounds. They weren't just moved by her words. They were changed by them. Erica had taken injustice and transformed it into something bigger than herself. And as she walked off stage, she knew this was only the beginning.